it's time to talk about a CD that actually I don't see that much talk about and that unfortunately doesn't get the praise it deserves, but it was quite the amazing debut CD, in this case a debut mini album. I'm talking about a CD that is all about city pop, beautiful neon lit soundscapes, laid back semi-acoustic tunes that really put a smile on your face. I'm talking about Koutaro Nishiyama's City. So let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge, I'm your host Vanessa, and today's topic is let's talk about Koutaro Nishiyama's City. So this is yet another episode in which I am not following a script, so I'm now setting my timer so that I do not go over the usual episode time. So Koutaro Nishiyama released in 2020 his debut mini album, City. And at that time, I remember I didn't review it when it was really released, so I was a bit behind anything or anyone back then because I really put that CD on hold for quite a long time. I had a really massive backlog of CDs to review, and that CD ended up being shoved to the back. I only got to review it in 2021. And what a beauty of a debut CD this is, because we seldom get mini albums by SEIYUU artists that are this consistent and this good. And why is that? Because when a SEIYUU makes a solo debut, usually the SEIYUU wants to show a little bit of everything. They want, of course, to play it safe, because they don't want to go crazy right from the start. Otherwise, they are raising the expectations really high and then they can't deliver for the next CD. And they should start with something that eases people in. So the music should be welcoming, the themes in the lyrics should be easy to understand, and the way the SEIYUU is singing should be as simple as possible, as if to avoid raising expectations too much and then ending up not delivering as well. So when you have a debut CD, regardless if it is a single, an EP, a mini album, or an album, which is really daring to release an album as a debut CD, but if you have a release like that, especially a debut CD, you don't want to play it too dramatic, too complex, or make it things too grandiose, because it will end up basically hamper your work down the line. People will expect something in the same line and then you can't deliver the same thing over and over and over. So you start by doing something that touches upon various music genres and that shows different techniques but doesn't really make things really complex, so you avoid getting into that rabbit hole of making things too complicated for you. In this case, Koutaro Nishiyama made a solo debut in 2020 and many people were asking why was he making a solo debut. And of course, if we are going the technical way and we are going to analyze his technique as a singer, really, and put aside any bias, he's not really a good singer. He's not. He is something that other singers or other male SEIYUU singers or male SEIYUU artists aren't. He's really, really smart. And that makes it so that his solo career has been created around his weaknesses on the vocal end, and he made those weaknesses turn into his strengths. And this is crazy smart and something that no other SEIYUU artist has done that before. You have plenty of SEIYUU artists out there that are tone deaf. They are obviously tone deaf, and you can notice that as soon as you press play in their music. And there are others, of course, that are really in a league of their own and no one can really touch them, as they basically nail anything and everything that is thrown at them. But Koutaro Nishiyama doesn't really fit any of those two descriptions. He's not really a tone deaf singer, but he has a really, really weird singing tone. And he doesn't have that much technique to deliver something really impressive, but he knows how to do things that make him, basically make him sound really good. And that I admire a whole lot, and that's a big reason why at the time that I reviewed the CD, I gave it almost full marks. This is a CD by someone that is really, really comfortable with their singing voice. They really know how bad they sing at times, they know how good they sing at times, they really know their weaknesses and strengths and played around with those to deliver a CD that is actually something that fits them really well and that doesn't sound bad, which is really, really impressive. So while Koutaro Nishiyama at the time made a lot of people go, why is he actually making a solo debut is not particularly remarkable. I can name 1 or 2 or 3 seiyuu that can do a better job than him. Well, he does have experience as a singer. He has performed with plenty of 2D groups so far. Yet again, I've talked to you about these, that sometimes seiyuu sing for 2D groups bad, and they sing bad because they are required to sing bad and to have a really weird pronunciation or a really weird singing tone, or even be or sound like they are tone deaf because some characters require that. That's what is required of them. Koutaro Nishiyama has been voicing characters here and there that have a really weird and unique style of singing or tone of voice. So far people look at him, and when they saw his name as the one making a solo debut, they thought, well, it's more of the same? Actually, it isn't, because what or how a seiyuu sings for a 2D group usually doesn't necessarily translate to how they sing as solo artists. Unless they do not care about that and they sing exactly the same for every single thing, usually seiyuu artists end up finding their own voice, or they already have their own voice as solo artists in their head, and they can output that really well when they get that chance to make a solo debut and perform as a solo artist. In this case, Koutaro Nishiyama's mini-album City was really a testament to how a seiyuu really should know themselves really well. Sometimes seiyuu have grandiose ideas of they are really good singers because people actually like them in 2D groups, and they think that making a solo debut will make them really popular, and then their solo debut ends up tanking because actually they do not know how to sing. At times there are seiyuu that sing really well, and they make awful solo debuts because they handed all the creative process to someone else that thought that they should do the very same thing that artist X or Y is doing. So this time around, I feel that Koutaro Nishiyama got a really good bargain in here with Lantis, as he ended up getting a producer that understood his tone of voice, and he actually, you can tell by the songs that they were tailored to his singing tone. There's nothing really complex in here. They are not demanding him to actually belt anything complicated or even to do something that he can't do. He's doing everything he can and knows how to do. And he's not faking it, which is another thing that I love to see in here, is that he's not faking it. I believe that everything that he's performed in this CD, he can actually pull off live without any problems, which is rare for seiyuu artists, especially those that perform pop music. Back to the CD, Koutaro Nishiyama's mini-album City is really a marvel, and it is a CD that shows how Koutaro Nishiyama is actually a really smart singer. And you can't take that title away from him. He's really smart. And what you get in this CD is a collection of 6 songs that are all about city pop. And this is something that up until Koutaro Nishiyama's solo debut was not happening. He actually went and, well, let's perform city pop. And why city pop? I feel that, and this of course is not official, so this is only a supposition by me taking into account the music that he has released, is that Koutaro Nishiyama actually found in city pop a music genre that doesn't put too much spotlight on the vocals, but still needs the vocals to create a mood, to create a setting. And this is a music genre that actually divides the attention between the instrumental and the vocals, so you do not have too much attention on one side or the other. As such, you have a collection of songs that leverage really well his vocals, but still that are all about the vibes. You really can see the neon lights lighting up in the landscape. You really feel like you are walking down the street in the middle of the night, or even staring at the sea, seeing the crashing waves hitting the shore. You really feel like you are taken to some place, which is really good. And of course, then you basically have Koutaro Nishiyama making the best out of his voice tone and delivering a set of really relaxing, cozy performances that I really fell in love with those. And believe me, I was one of those skeptics that when his solo debut was announced, I asked why. Because I had been reviewing music so far from some of the 2D groups he was with, and he was not showing that much to warrant a solo debut. But actually, it was one of those times in which I like to be proven wrong, and especially when it is these kinds of things in which we can see a seiyuu growing and actually exceeding expectations. So I was really pleased to see that my expectations were more than exceeded, because Koutaro Nishiyama made the best to leverage his voice tone and deliver a set of songs that was really, really interesting and quite fun as well. So if you are a big fan of city pop music, or if you are curious about what city pop is a sub-music genre that is originated in Japan in the 80s. It's based or uses funk and disco as its core elements, but also lends a lot from jazz music. So it is a music genre that is really melodic, really bouncy and funky. You will have the bass line playing a massive role in city pop music, as well as synths, and those play a big role as well in creating the setting, that neon lit soundscape that I was talking about earlier. So it is a really good music genre that can be played down-tempo or up-tempo and is always fun and makes you want to dance along too. So this is really a music genre that I was not expecting a male seiyuu to actually tackle, and especially in a solo debut, because it is really niche and I believe not many people will feel drawn to that specific music genre. Although I do love the attention that city pop has been getting in the last couple of years by seiyuu artists, which is something that I was not expecting yet again. But yet again, we are getting a retro wave of 80s and 90s music taking over some of the music that has been released as of late, so I was not surprised, yet I was impressed that Koutaro Nishiyama opted for a music genre as niche as this one. Still, you have a collection of awesome songs, and you start the CD with an acoustic tune with Soto de wa hikari ga odoteiru. This song is so loungy. It is a song that, if I could, I would have as the background for this podcast, but unfortunately, copyright is here and I can't do that. This is a song that is really tasteful, and I was really impressed by, let's talk a bit about this on the side. I'm really geeky about headphones. I own way too many headphones, especially those that I use for critical music listening, which is to analyze and review music. So these are headphones that are neutral. They do not have any bass enhancements, and they do not have any enhancements whatsoever to any of the frequencies that you can get when you are listening to music. And this is the type of CD, this is actually a CD that I can listen to from start to finish with neutral headphones, which usually are headphones that make a song or a CD sound bad because they are neutral, they do not highlight anything, everything sounds flat. This is actually a CD that with neutral headphones, it doesn't sound flat. This is really a well-mixed CD, and props to the mixers and producers and mastering engineers in this CD, because this CD is really well mixed and mastered. And this is something that people do not usually pay too much attention to because, well, people already do not pay attention to the composers, much less to the ones that are behind the production. So kudos to the production in here because it is really remarkable. You can listen to this CD with neutral headphones for critical listening, and this CD sounds good in those. Usually, most CDs by male seiyuu artists, I'm not even kidding, most CDs by male seiyuu artists do not sound good with neutral headphones for critical listening. Sometimes the mastering is really awful for some CDs, especially for, and this is quite surprising, for some of the biggest seiyuu artists out there. There are some exceptions, but some of the biggest do have a really weak mastering to their CDs. They do not sound well with neutral headphones, and this is weird because a composer and a mixer is reviewing a CD and basically tweaking a CD, listening with neutral headphones and then neutral monitors, which are big speakers in the studio. So this is weird how those CDs actually do not pass this test, but this CD actually passes this test, and the warmth that you get with this song, Soto de wa hikari ga odoteiru, is really impressive. The acoustic guitars sound warm and cozy around you. This is something that is instantly something that puts you at ease, that welcomes you with open arms to a mini album that is all about good vibes and not taking yourself too seriously, but also delivering something that you can consider professional and really good. This song is really tasteful. It's all about mixing the classical elements from disco music from the 70s with the strings and the brass playing around. Then you have the Rhodes piano bringing those jazz influences into the mix, and the acoustic guitars and the punchy bass line take over. This is a song that is really enjoyable to listen to and quite relaxing. Then you have the title track or the leading track for this CD, Mahirudoki no Stella, which is so fun. This is a song that is all about city pop. It is really, I should say, while the CD opens in a really cozy way, you have a soundscape that is not really wide. In this case, when you get to Mahirudoki no Stella, you feel that you have a wide soundscape to basically make the best of. And this is actually one of those songs that for me, it brings me or takes me back to the songs that I listened to back in the early 90s, which were music for basically from the 70s and 80s. And you have wah-wah guitars playing in the background, which is something really old school. You have bassy beat, which is really fun. The Rhodes piano is back again, and the song takes its time to develop, and it's really fun. Koutaro Nishiyama, of course, is delivering a performance that is also, yet again, really relaxing and really confident, which was something that I was not expecting. This is the leading track. This was the very first step that he took in his solo career, was to record and perform this song, and actually is really confident in this song as well as in the first one, but this one is the one that most people will be most familiar with because this is the leading track in the CD. Then we have Chikipu Hour, which is a song that has a little bit of a retro 8-bit style of sound going on in there. This is a fun song. However, I was not too drawn into it back then. I believe that most people that enjoy pop music, pure pop music, will find this song really fun. But I have my issues with that, especially in the chorus. Not to say that this is a bad song, but usually, in my opinion, I skip this song because I do not click with it as much as I would expect. Then you have Yokohama Swing, and that's when jazz music takes over, and this is so much fun. This song is really fun. Jazz is here, and you have a contrabass leading the way. And as it is punching through the air, jazz drums make their entrance, an elegant piano is playing in the background, you have the guitar riffs as the guitarist takes the stage, and the brass in the background, energetically adding a little bit of fun to the song. And this is a song that really brings the best out of jazz to the spotlight. It is unpredictable, it is really fun, and the whole tempo and the beat make it so that you want to dance along to it. Of course, you do have some minimalistic parts, which is really interesting. You do have that bridge that is quite minimalistic, I was not expecting that, in which basically you have Koutaro Nishiyama's voice being accompanied by a bass drum beat, which is interesting. I was not expecting that, but then again, you needed to have at least a beat that would keep you interested in the music and then take over as you get to the final part in this song. A really interesting thing is that Koutaro Nishiyama, right from the start, basically had collaborations within his songs, and in this case you have Yusuke Shirai appearing as a barman in the background for this song. This is really crazy. You are taken to that jazz bar, and tending the bar is Yusuke Shirai, which is really funny. I felt that this was the moment in which the song started to not take itself really seriously, but I do love that he actually did that. It was really fun, and an unexpected collaboration within the song. Yusuke Shirai is not singing, he's actually appearing as a barman to talk within the song. So this is really fun. You have then Tobikiri no Yoru wa Koko ni Aru. I've said it time and time again that I love this song and I can listen to it without getting tired of it. It's really warm at the same time. It has a really funky bass line going on. It has loungy synths, and the soundscape that you have with this song is really beautiful. It's not as warm as previous songs, and it's not as wide and city-based soundscape. It is something that sounds like you are in the late summer, you are by the seashore, you are seeing those waves crashing, and basically you are taking in the good vibes. It's almost nostalgic in tone, and I do love that a whole lot. Then you have, of course, something that I love a whole lot, which is city pop and disco, making a really interesting blend in the instrumental with the synths. You have synths from both eras, from the 70s and the 80s, and it really fits well with this song. So this is yet another one that I listen to time and time again, and I can't really get over. It's so good, this song. From the vocals, which are fun as hell, but really relaxing at the same time, to the instrumental itself, this song is really good. And this song has lyrics by Koutaro Nishiyama, which is another thing that is remarkable. He wrote the lyrics to which is easily one of the best songs in this mini album. So props to Koutaro Nishiyama. Then you wrap up with Time Machine. This is a song that even other male seiyuu artists are a fan of, so this already says a lot about this song. I remember when I was listening, of course I'm a big Somasato fan, and I was listening to his radio show and he recommended people to listen to Time Machine because it's a really good, gentle, acoustic song with a lo-fi vibe. And this lo-fi vibe makes it so that the song is not overbearing nor overwhelming. It is really perfect. It is a song that is with you but doesn't take the time away from you. It's so good. I do feel like this is one of those songs that I can listen to without an end. And actually, when I listened to this song, it had been a long time since I last played guitar. So I decided to purchase an electric guitar after listening to Time Machine to learn how to play this song, because my acoustic guitar was no good to play this one. So I had to improvise and to basically go back to something that I loved. Time Machine reignited my love for playing guitar, which is something that I'm indebted to. I was not expecting that a song within this CD would end up reigniting a passion of mine and making me once again fall in love with playing music. So Time Machine is a song that I hold very dear for many reasons, of course, but this is also a terrific song that you should listen to if you have the time. And it is the perfect way to wrap up this CD, especially because Koutaro Nishiyama is using a different style of singing. He's using whisper style of vocals, which is something that, for example, Somasato is really well known for doing. It's something that fits really well with tenors, as they can reach higher tones, and those whispery tones can sound really angelic and soothing. So you get a really remarkable performance here, and if you have, or if you are listening to this song with headphones, for example, you will notice that he's circling around you during the performance, which is really interesting. His vocals are not set in stone in front of you, they are moving in the soundscape. And you can feel where he is if you are listening to this song with headphones. The same thing can be said about the intro to this CD. You can also notice that he is not set in stone in front of you as a performer, he's actually going around you in Soto de wa Hikari ga Odoteiru. So you do have these two great songs making the best out of spatial awareness and of the soundscape that you have. They are playing around with the soundscape, with the soundstage. It is something that usually SEIYUU do not do, because either they have to use a dummy head mic or they have to make the mixer pan the vocals to the left or the right, or move the vocals using a VST to actually do that. VST is a sort of a plugin you use in your DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. It's basically the place in which you compose and create music digitally. So in this case, this is a CD that wraps up with Time Machine, a terrific song that I fully recommend you to check, especially if you like acoustic type of music, as well as if you like music that is really well created, from the composition to the performances. As a whole, this is a fantastic CD. So let's leave that to the outro and talk a little bit about this CD as we wrap up this episode. So, we've talked about Koutaro Nishiyama's City. I believe this episode will be barely heard by anyone because most people will avoid clicking in this episode because they are not fans of Koutaro Nishiyama. Thank you of course, for listening to this episode, and I hope that I made you interested in this CD, or that if you are a fan of Koutaro Nishiyama, that you can understand at least where I come from when I basically review his CDs quite highly. This is one of those debuts that made me quite impressed, and that I thought that, well, appearances can really deceive. People were on the fence because he was not a particularly good singer. Well, in 2020, he released the best debut CD to date, at that time. So it was really, really impressive to see something like this happening. Once again, I love to root for underdogs. And yet again, I was one of those people that were skeptic and that I ended up being proven wrong. And that made me really happy to be proven wrong, because it meant that he actually grew and that he actually was doing his best and that he wanted to deliver the best, and he did with City. So all in all, City is one of the best mini albums that was released in 2020. And for me, it was the best debut CD by a solo artist up until then. Yes, even better than Yumuchida's, even better than Soma Saito's. It was really better than any of those SEIYUU artists. This was a debut CD that was really, really comfortable. And this shows in such a confident CD in which consistency was quite impressive, and which the daring side of going all out with city pop was also impressive. So this is a CD that I love a whole lot. I believe not many people will enjoy it because they have preconceived ideas about Koutaro Nishiyama, or they do not want to care about this, or they do not like city pop. But still, if you are one of those people that have listened to this episode up until this point, I believe that you are actually interested in this CD, or in some way you are interested in knowing what I think about this CD. So this is already positive. Let's go back to the scripted part of this episode, because I never know the scripted part of this episode, so I need to read it yet again. So now tell me, what did you think about this CD? And which is your favorite song? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of SEIYUU Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the hand that feeds HQ's weekly male SEIYUU and music related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Thank you for listening, and see you guys around.